What is up, guys? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the fantasy outlook for Mike Gesicki, tight end for the Miami Dolphins. One of the more exciting names this year heading into the 2020 season, a guy we're pretty excited about here. But before we get started, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, helps the channel out. And also, you can check out our website for a full list of rankings at fantasyaddictionnetwork.com. All right, now Mike Gesicki had actually a pretty decent breakout year last year as well. Was pretty much undersung, but really started to come on near the end. 51 receptions, 570 receiving yards, and 5 total touchdowns. Finished the year as a top 12 tight end with 136 fantasy points, but only averaging 8.5 fantasy points per game. Not really doing too much for you. Not really many people had him on their fantasy championship teams. Did finish the season really well, though. If you did manage to stream him in your championship game, you are rewarded with a top 3 performance amongst tight ends. He had 2 of those last season, one against Philadelphia and one against Cincinnati, and had a couple other top 6 weeks as well, but obviously a lot of red there, so pretty inconsistent, and that's kind of been the MO for Mike Gesicki. Even back to college, he'd have some massive games and then just kind of disappear. Now, from a pure athletic profile, this guy's an absolute beast. 97th percentile Spark X score guy, and someone that we can expect really good things from if he can actually get a pretty consistent target count from a quarterback that can throw a little bit more accurately than Ryan Fitzpatrick. So this could be one of Tua Tagovailoa's favorite targets. Again, assuming that Tua ends up playing at some point this season. The Dolphins have a very tough pass schedule for the first couple weeks of the season, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if Tua is starting by week 5, maybe week 7 if we're being a little bit more conservative. And having a guy like Mike Gesicki could end up being a comfort blanket for Tua heading into his beginning to his career in the NFL. So really like the overall prospect of Mike Gesicki continuing his breakout campaign into 2020. Now, last year he actually had the number 3 most deep targets. Ryan Fitzpatrick just loved to lob the ball deep, given a ton of deep targets to both Gesicki and to Devontae Parker. And surprisingly, he actually had the 7th most targets, but again, catchable target rate only 70.8%, so doesn't really matter as much. But target share finishes with 15.3%. That's only 16th best amongst tight ends, and 51 receptions, 12th best. So had the catchable target rate been up, this could have been a much different story from Mike Gesicki. His target quality rating absolutely atrocious, 4.7, 31st in the NFL. Now, true catch rate, same thing with Devontae Parker, only 81%. Would have expected something a little bit higher once you take out those uncatchable passes, but overall, just not a very efficient throwing season from Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was pretty much just a volume-led approach. Now, Gesicki got volume. He just wasn't able to convert enough of it into being a massive fantasy producer. So I do think if Mike Gesicki is to truly hit his breakout, I think this will actually come through Tua coming in and playing a lot sooner. Again, Tua, a much more accurate quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Probably going to play it a little bit safer to begin the season. I don't expect him to be slinging the ball incredibly deep, playing it a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, and I think that's going to benefit the style of play for Mike Gesicki. He should be pretty heavily involved in the red zone as well. So while we don't necessarily have him projected to do a massive boost from what he did last year, right now we still have him as a low-end tight end 1, getting 58 receptions, 646 receiving yards, and 6 total touchdowns. He definitely has a lot of upside, could massively outproduce this, especially when you just look at his athletic profile is just absolutely incredible. And if he can actually put it together for a whole season, be more consistent, week to week, he could very easily rise the ranks and become, another Mark Andrews type. Now, obviously, the biggest thing going against him is we're not expecting the Dolphins to have anywhere near a season like the Ravens did last year, like far from it. And that was part of the reason why Mark Andrews ascended so quickly. Mark Andrews was one of our favorite tight ends last year, mostly because there wasn't really any other targets on that, or receivers on that team that really stood out, and Mark Andrews was splashing near the end of 2018, so we just carry that over, and that's kind of how we look at tight ends. Tight ends that break out near the end of the season, that typically tells a lot of how it's going to continue heading into the next year. It just seems to work that way for tight ends. So obviously, with Mark Andrews proving that out, that's kind of why we're pretty excited for guys like Mike Gesicki heading into 2020 with that massive athletic profile. He's still really cheap in drafts. It's not like you have to spend a lot to get him. We're probably going to be deploying a punt tight end and then take 2 or 3 guys near the end of your draft. So if you can grab a Mike Gesicki and a few other guys in this tier, and then just try to figure out which one ends up blowing up the most, and then you can ride them for the rest of the season, or you just play matchups. Like, that's probably going to end up being the best tight end strategy if you don't get George Kittle or Travis Kelce early, is just wait, kind of like with quarterbacks, and then just play matchups. But you can grab a few of these guys in this tier. But Mike Gesicki is definitely the highest guy we have in this tier right now. He's already shown us last year that he has the potential to be a top 3 tight end on a week by week basis. So it wouldn't be that much more for him to become like a top tier tight end every week if he can just be a little bit more consistent, see a little bit more consistent passing from the quarterback, and take another step forward. So heading into his age 25 season, absolutely love Mike Gesicki. But what say you? You guys have any comments let me know in the comment section below, and also hit that like and subscribe button for more videos like this one. We'll see you guys in the next video.